has received, should have received a copy of the agenda for our meeting, as well as the minutes from our October meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, the minutes shall stand approved by common consent. We also welcome Joshua Hatch, who has joined us as well for our meeting. I'd like to move right along on our agenda. First, I'd like to take well, before I say anything more, I would like to welcome Commissioner Rosemary Ketchmer, who has just joined us.
Thank you.
The first thing I'd like to do is right now is to ask Claudia Barber if she has a report for us as our staff liaison. I welcome to the meeting Jay Williams. Jay, welcome. So is there anything that any reports that you have for the commission?
At this time, I do not have a report for as the staff liaison. There have not been any new coming complaints. The last complaint has, I believe, has been distributed to the staff.
Yeah.
I mean, to the commission. I'm sorry, the commission members.
And I'll have a report on that. We'll have a report on that later in the agenda. Thank you, Claudia. In terms of my report, I would just like to express thanks to Dosh Durant, who is in the background, is from City of Annapolis TV, and he is handling the magic of Zoom for us tonight. All of those technical details that it's very good to have someone who really is familiar with the technology. So I know you're there, Josh. Thank you very much for your assistance this evening. Very pleased as we start our new business. I'm delighted to share with the commission that we have two new commissioners who will be joining us. They've been appointed by Mayor Buckley and approved by the City Council. And those individuals are Catherine Moody and Linda Mundy. And what I'd like to do is to give both Catherine and Linda an opportunity to share some things with us, a little bit about their background and their interest and the such. And then what I'm going to do is go around and ask each individual commissioner to offer their thoughts and a little bit about their background and involvement with the commission. So, Catherine, I'd like to start with you. You're the first individual of the two of you who are on the screen that I see. So could you share with the commission anything you'd like to about yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be here. So if we're just talking about my background first, currently I work in DC for their Department of Human Rights in DC. So I've been working there for almost 2 years as an investigator of employment discrimination cases. Part of that employment, we are cross-trained by the EEOC, so I do have some training from them as well. Before that, I worked at the Office of Police Complaints in DC. So I was investigating complaints against MPD officers or housing authority officers. And then before that, I did that for a year. And then before that, for about 8 years, I was a police officer in North Carolina. So that is my work background. I think I'm most interested in this because it's a much different type of work than I've done. Like I said, right now I'm doing investigative work. Doesn't really involve, we have our own mediation unit, so I don't really get to see a lot of the mediation process. I don't get to do a lot of community outreach because we also have an outreach part of our agency as well. So I think it's nice that this commission is really a good mix between a lot of different things that I haven't had an opportunity to do, but really alongside some of the work that I've done as well. So it's nice to be here.
Well, thank you so much, Catherine, for joining us. And now I'm going to ask the same question to Linda, as to a little bit about her background and what interested her to join the commission.
Hi, everybody. I see some familiar faces here. So hi. I have been involved in Annapolis since about 1999 is when I first moved to this area. And I started volunteering at the Boys and Girls Club in about 2001 over in Bywater. And I just have always, since that kind of inspired me to move into nonprofit. And that's what I've been doing, is working with young people in Annapolis, off and on since then, and families. I love, I also do community organizing. I've helped start several organizations showing up for racial justice here in Annapolis, and then also ACT, Anne Arundel Connecting Together. I've done a lot of community organizing training. I love just getting out and meeting people, doing outreach, understanding what people's issues are, hearing what they think, can be the solutions to issues. And honestly, I have kind of always been the activist more than working with a government. And so I kind of feel like I'm ready to just see what it's like to work with a government entity and understand how things work and how they don't work. And it helped me, actually. I did a program this year at Georgetown University, a diversity, equity, and inclusion program. And a lot of people there were doing this incredible work, working for federal government, Army, Marines, State Department, and just hearing their stories and the work that they were doing. And it really encouraged me to, try something new and try something different. So part of why I'm here is just for me to learn. And the other part is that I really do care about Annapolis and the people that live here, and hope to help make our city better.
Thank you, Linda, for sharing that. And I'm just going to go around and call on each commissioner who have been with us for a while, and give them an opportunity to share with Catherine and Linda a little bit about yourself and what you've been doing on what you've done on the commission. And I'm going to start with you, Helen.
Oh. Okay, my name is Helen Leach. I live in Eastport. I've been on the commission for a really long time. I'm the chair of the complaints committee at the moment, and that's about it.
Okay, thank you, Helen. Chuck.
He
You're
must
on
be
mute.
muted.
You're on mute, Chuck. You're still on mute, Chuck.
Chuck's on mute, but he may need to check the microphone on his computer to see if it's
Yeah.
turned on.
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
Chuck, look down at your toolbar on the bottom right and see if your microphone is X'd out. Did we lose him?
Oh.
Well,
Nice
we'll come
going.
back to, we'll come back to Chuck. So I'm going to call on Joshua.
Good evening, Joshua Hatch. First and foremost, welcome to the commission. I'm one of the newer commissioners as well. And this is a great opportunity for both of you all to get involved inside of what's going on in the city of Annapolis and to help bring about some change, because that's what we're attempting to do with this Human Relations Commission. And I look forward to working with both of you all.
Okay, thank you, Joshua. Rosemary?
I'm Rosemary Katchmar. I have been on the Human Relations Commission 17 years, Michael, maybe 18 years. Love being on the commission, and from time to time, I help out with translation for the Spanish-speaking community. I too work in DC when I feel like going into DC. I work for FAA. I support air traffic controllers and public safety, or safety of the flying public. I also do national critical incident coordination when things go wrong in the aviation community. And for Linda, I am also part of the DEIA initiative within FAA, and recently participated as a panelist talking about Ukrainian immigration. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Thank you, Rosemary. Jay?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jay Williams. I have been in Annapolis since 2014 and been a part of the Human Relations Commission since 2015. I have been working alongside with Chuck in a couple of different arenas involving the police recruitment committee and the police accountability commission, or board of trying to bring accountability within the police department, and working on, I guess, various different issues that have come up as they have come up over the last 8 years. I'm a lawyer here in Annapolis and practice in the areas of civil litigation and family law, domestic, and divorce and custody and things of that nature as well. So I welcome the new members. Look forward to working with you all.
Thank you, Jay. Chuck, I'm going to come back to you.
I think I'm sorry.
Yeah,
sorry for the operator error. It's an iPad and often a little finicky. First off, welcome to the new members. We very much look forward to enlisting you in some of the work we're doing. I often describe myself, as others will agree, as an old Quaker, and have been involved in civil rights most of my life. And I'm not alone in thinking that we're going in the wrong direction now. And that we really need to take the lead in several areas to try to get back to a community that is full of respect and not hate. And our community, I don't think is as bad as some other parts of the country, but we really have got to make clear that Annapolis is a hate-free community. And as Jay indicated, we've worked together on a number of things, and I think we'll be talking about some more things tonight, Mike.
Yes. I know that Commissioner Diane Graham was participating, but she's disappeared from the screen. I'm not sure. Diane, are you there? Well, perhaps she'll reappear at elsewhere in the program this evening. But I would like to welcome to the call Carrie Berger, who is the Assistant City Attorney, and she serves as legal counsel to the commission. So welcome to the meeting, Carrie. I forgot to introduce myself. Again, I'm Michael Keller. I'm the chair of the commission. I've been chair of the commission for a fairly lengthy period of time, which I think, either I'm doing something right or no one else wants the job. I won't hypothesize on which of those two it is. But I am a retired higher education researcher and policy analyst, and been involved in peace and social justice work for a very, very long time. I've been a resident of the Eastport community in Annapolis for 40 years. So I'd like to turn back to our agenda. I know our chair of our outreach committee, Chuck Hurley, has been working with Lakeisha Hatcher, who is a member of the County Human Relations Commission and serves as liaison from that commission to ours on a proposal to have a joint initiative that would focus on organizing what they called roadshows to foster discussions with civic, religious, and neighborhood organizations about ways to respond to hate group activities. So I'm going to ask Chuck and then Lakeisha if they would share with us what specific direction that they feel this proposal is taking.
Well, thanks, Mike. And we'll ask. I was going to ask Lakeisha to join as well. The county had a really excellent forum on hate and bias back in February 26th of 2020, where you were a presenter, I believe, Mike, and as were a number of others, and then it broke out into small groups where a lot of really good ideas and even some data were produced. And then, of course, COVID hit. And there really has been very little follow-up, understandably, to that excellent summit. And I had some discussions with Eugene Peterson. He and I go back 30 years in other areas. He was a senior official at the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, and I was one of his most difficult constituents, I guess. We've been friends a long time. He and I got together, and then also we've had Lakeisha and I had a chance to really have a good conversation as well. And I give credit to Eugene Peterson for this idea. The idea would be to take the data and the ideas of the hate and bias forum from 2020. I say on the road, obviously we'll have to be invited, but particularly to church groups and civic groups and civil rights groups and the projects in Annapolis and elsewhere, to really get some input from the community as to what they think would be the next good steps. We'll present some of the findings of the Hate and Bias Forum, but I think we're also very anxious to have the input from the community. Mike, I believe we've got at least 4 commissioners that have already indicated an interest, perhaps 5. And then I would love to talk to some of the new commissioners into joining us in this effort as well. The simple idea is that the County Human Relations Commission, and Lakeisha is our liaison, and they are in the process of selecting the members of their commission that would like to join in a joint effort. And we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. We want to get together with their commissioners and our commissioners and form a more specific plan. But the idea, at least in my view, would be perhaps maybe once a month, probably no more often than that, to have an event in Annapolis and elsewhere in the county that would invite the community to come talk about the civil rights issues as they see them, as well as introduce the commissions to them. I'm not sure everyone in the county is born knowing what the City Human Relations Commission is and does, and as same with the county. But Lakeisha, I would defer to you for any comments you might have.
Just kind of to piggyback off of what you said, Chuck, and thank you so much for being willing to join together. So, a part of our authority as the Fair Housing, promoting Fair Housing Act within our human relations commissions, is we have like these little subgroups or subcommittees. Hate and bias is one of them. And so what we really wanted to do was kind of start researching based off of the hate and bias forum that took place in 2020, researching looking further into some of the results or discussion pieces that was retrieved from these small groups, and using ways that we can start implementing, but reaching out to the communities to get buy-in so that they can also provide ways to kind of help reduce some of these hate and bias incidents or accidents. I believe it's every month, the police department provides a report of how many incidents occurred. And we want to really start seeing those numbers decrease. This is an educational forum, and also a kind of active giving back to the community to make change for the better. I think there's the saying, and I represent Anne Arundel, but I think the saying is making Anne Arundel the best place to live or something of that nature. So, I'm excited to be collaborating with Annapolis on this, and this is just in the beginning of us kind of planning and getting our thoughts together. So we're still really, really in the planning phase. For those that are interested, part of what we want to do is retrieve those reports, review them, and start pulling out what we really think would be either an educational piece or to pass amongst the community, or something that we can look into, like how do we implement, how do we really put this into effect? So for those that are interested, after we get more information from the reports, and I think Chuck was supposed to reach out to Eugene.
I did. I followed
okay.
your recommendation and talked to Eugene today, and he's going to track down where the records and all the materials from the Hate Bias Summit are. So thank you for suggesting it, and Eugene's on the case.
Perfect. So once we get more, we will definitely start setting up meetings with those that are interested as to what will be the next phase. I think it's probably best to break this up into phases so that we can accomplish and move on to the next. So thank you, Chuck, and we're excited.
Yeah, and Mike, we would be glad, Lakeisha and I would be glad to answer any questions anybody might have about what we are planning to do, I guess would be the right word.
Certainly. And as well as offer any thoughts or opinions that they may have about the general direction in which this is headed. So it's now open to commissioners. Any thoughts, any ideas, any reaction to what you just heard Chuck and Lakeisha present? I know we've had several members, as Chuck alluded to, several members on the Human Relations Commission have expressed interest in working on this project.
And Joshua, I know, has been doing some other excellent work himself in areas that involve law enforcement. It might be one of the more sensitive issues we would get into, but and Rosemary, I think there were several other individuals that indicated interest.
So is there a a process of obtaining the police reports or the reports that you're supposed to be getting from like what are the hurdles that you're?
Yeah, I would defer to Joshua. I know he's been tracking particularly stops, but Joshua, maybe you can say what you've found and what the issues are. Maybe he's on mute. I'm not sure.
Can you hear me now?
Oh,
Yes.
There we go. Okay, there you go.
I know how to switch the speaker, Chuck. I don't have to.
Well, you did better than I did on getting back in.
So right now we're in the process of still scheduling that meeting with the Annapolis Police Department. There have been a couple of moving parts in getting the actual concrete date. I still have to talk to Annapolis Police Department, but there's some documents, there's some reports or a report that surfaced based on a study that was done by the Caucus of African American Leaders for the Annapolis Police. And the Annapolis Police willingly opened their doors and said that they would be willing to share this information with us to go back and do the data analysis. So I think that that's important. Have not had the opportunity to have that same conversation with the Anne Arundel County Police Department, but I couldn't imagine that if the Anne Arundel County Human Relations Commission reached out to them that they would not be forthcoming with that information. So I would actually ask you, Chuck, and Lakeisha also to see whether or not, in preparation for this project, whether or not that they would be willing to do the same thing that the Annapolis Police Department has said that they would be willing to do.
And they have. That's what I was mentioning before. I want to say it's monthly. They provide our county a report of how many hate bias incidents that they recorded. So we will have numbers to go by. But in regards to the hate bias forum that took place in 2020, I think it's just a hurdle is getting to the right person to retrieve that data. But Chairman Peterson knows who to go and speak with. And so he's just kind of working that on his side, busy schedules and all of that.
So that I can be clear, the information that we're talking about reviewing, Lakeisha, and the Annapolis Police Department is based on the traffic stops, giving us a breakdown of, how long a person was on the side of a road, potentially what officer was involved in the traffic stop, just giving us a lot of demographics surrounding that particular data. So does that include the information that you all receive on a monthly basis?
Well, it's not necessarily just traffic stops because it's they kind of break it down in categories. So traffic stops may be part of it, but I think it's like, if there was how many robberies or things like that, like they give us kind of and where at, like, which city were these incidents happening. But if there was any reports about some type of discriminatory or prejudice incident, that's more or less what I'm kind of aligning with, that we would really be looking at to help us with this hate bias action.
Yeah, initiative.
Initiative. Thank you.
The reason why I mentioned traffic stops, because it's been brought to my attention by a former law enforcement officer that a traffic stop is the normal segue into, a person being shook down on the side of the road and some of the other discriminatory practices that happen within inside of the police department. And so that is one of the areas that they normally, when they're trying to review, the practices within inside of the police department, traffic stops most definitely would be one of the areas that they look at, because it's during those type of stops where officers' discretion sometimes step over the line and they do what, you know, they want to do. And
Yeah.
so it's been a concern, especially for a lot of groups, especially when this report actually surfaced. And again, like I said, I commend Chief Jackson and Deputy Stan Bradford for their leadership, and Rhonda McCoy, all of who, like I said, agreed to be forthcoming and even educate us on how that data is collected, how that information is actually viewed by the police department, policy initiatives that actually changed based off of that information. And so I think that this would be interesting if Anne Arundel County would also be willing to do the same thing. Maybe that we can be a joint effort between Annapolis Police Department and Anne Arundel County Police Department to do that.
I think that's a great idea, and I think they should actually be actively involved in this initiative. I agree. And I can get with our executive officer, Asha Smith, because she is kind of the point of contact with it, and see if we can get those reports pulled as well. Great suggestion. I agree.
And so do I. Are there other questions for Lakeisha or myself?
I actually have a question.
Yes, Linda.
Go ahead, Joshua.
The time frame, so far as this initiative actually being kicked off, what are we looking at? How long do we suspect it's going to take to, you know, bring all
Get
the pieces?
started?
Yeah.
Right. Location can respond as well. We have at least 4 members, including yourself, of course, Joshua, who've indicated interest in participating. And the County Human Relations Commission, I believe, meets later this month and is going to again ask for interested members to join with us. So I would expect we would have a joint, city-county meeting of interested commissioners, certainly by the end of the month. And then probably identify, more specifically, including the issues you've of course led on, Joshua, but the issues we really should be addressing, and how. And I would expect by the December meeting of the Annapolis Human Relations Commission, we'll have a pretty well framed up approach, and again get ideas from each commission again. But by the first of the year, we should be ready to go. Now, Lakeisha, does that make sense to you?
Well, I definitely want to set expectations. So, and this is the initiation of us getting together and meeting. So let us have I think we should have our first initial meeting with those that are willing, and then we can start setting milestones and things that we want to accomplish. So then we can really provide a timeline for you that's going to be executable, with holidays and things like that. I just want to set expectations and all of that. So let us meet, let us have the discussion, and then we'll be able to provide a little more information. That's just my take on it. But I also like Chuck's idea. He's optimistic.
I would defer to you on that one, Lakeisha.
Linda, I saw your hand earlier. Do you have something you'd like to say, or?
I guess I was just curious about the data collection. I'm hearing that the police are collecting the data for hate incidents when they're reported, right? And then there's also the other piece, if there's reports on police and incidents. And so I'm just kind of curious if we're familiar with the processes and how the data is being collected. I know that I've worked with the Anne Arundel County Police and trying to get some data. I was working on some gun violence stuff, and it turned out they did not even record. They had no computer data about shootings. until, and this is in Altamari's time. And they had to, upgrade a system, and then they had to get a volunteer to get the data for like the past 4 or 5 years. And this led into the whole thing that Stuart Pittman did with the gun violence initiative. But, they weren't collecting that data. So I'm just curious.
Yeah.
A lot of
let me
what you're
tell you what
talking about is based on data, right? And so how is it being collected?
Two points. First off, you're right. Of course, data is so important here. We will get getting, as Lakeisha indicated, getting not necessarily custody, but getting access to all of the information from the Hate Bias Summit, which includes many of the topics you indicated, will be one key step. And my understanding, and Mike, correct me, the state police do an annual report on hate bias incidents in the state. And if I'm not mistaken, Anne Arundel County did not do well. That it was near the top of that. Am I right, Mike? Do I remember like 23 incidents were reported? But we will know more about that as we get started and get access to the Hate Bias Summit information, and also draw on the information that each commissioner will probably have previously been involved with. And by the way, Linda, we would invite you to join us.
What you have reported is correct, Chuck. The hate bias reports are actually prepared by each county or major city police department.
Mhm.
And there is a standardization in terms of how they are to report the data. Anne Arundel has come out very high, as you said, Chuck, and I know in at least a couple of years we've been the highest in terms of the numbers of hate crimes or hate incidents which have occurred. But again, the process for reporting is done at the police level. I don't believe that. I think that what happens is the information is compiled by the Maryland State Police into one document, but the extent to which there is sort of an oversight in this reporting, I didn't get the sense that there was a lot of that going on.
Yeah,
So,
my understanding, Mike, is that there's some belief that Anne Arundel County may do a better job in reporting hate and bias incidents than other counties, but that's something we will have to get into.
yeah, well, I think your perception of that is correct, Chuck.
And just also, I might have some correction there with how often we receive the reports, but there is a link. I don't have access to the chat, but I will send it to Chairman Keller, where, it's public record. You can go to this link and pull the hate bias reports into review. So I can send that an email.
Great.
Yeah, that would be very helpful, Lakeisha. Any other thoughts? We don't need to take an actual vote on this, but I wanted to make sure that this is something that the commissioners believe deserves support. I think it does, definitely does, but I just wanted to get everyone's thoughts on that. Haven't heard any direct criticisms of it. Can I assume that this is something that the commission would endorse and involve a joint effort with our counterparts in the county?
Yes.
Not hearing any objection. I think Lakeisha and Chuck, please proceed. And
we'll keep you posted.
Yeah, we'll definitely look forward to having something ready to move beginning in January.
Well, as Lakeisha indicated, we'll go as fast as the other commissioners are comfortable with, but we'll certainly have a more full report by the city December commission meeting as we go forward.
Okay, thank you. Thank you both. Here, the next item of the agenda is an update on the complaint of Charles H. Parker. The commission accepted that case for mediation. Mr. Parker indicated in his document submitted to the commission that he was willing to mediate the case and the complaint. the chair of our complaints committee, Helen Leach, contacted the respondent, who was the manager of the restaurant at which the incident occurred, and he has accepted mediation as well. And as a result, the mediation will be handled by the Anne Arundel Conflict Resolution Center, which is a nonprofit organization in the county, which focuses on doing mediation for individuals and groups in conflict. We will get a report from the Conflict Resolution Center as to the outcome with respect to the following. They'll let us know whether the mediation was actually held, and that if it was held, whether it was successful. Successful being defined as an agreement being reached by both of the parties, or if it was not successful, that is, they weren't able to reach agreement. So the matter is now in the hands of the Conflict Resolution Center. Are there any questions from commissioners regarding this particular case? Okay. The next item of the agenda actually relates to an action taken by the commission at its last meeting. And that involved the response of the Martin Luther King Memorial Breakfast Committee to the commission's request that it make an award to an organization rather than to an individual. And that was unanimously voted on as per a motion by Commissioner Hurley. And I can report to you this evening that the Dr. Martin Luther King Memorial Breakfast Committee has accepted that arrangement.
Excellent.
And as a result, the award at the breakfast will go to the Freedom Fighters. It's an organization that seeks to speed the reentry into society of formerly incarcerated individuals. And Commissioner Joshua Hatch, who is the founder and CEO of that organization, will accept the award on behalf of Freedom Fighters at the Dr. Martin Luther King Memorial Breakfast, however that is handled. And it's still up in the air whether they're going to have that as an in-person event or a virtual event. But in any case, the committee has accepted our proposal, and that's how we will proceed on it. I've communicated to Commissioner Hatch the request from Eugene Peterson, who happens to be not only the chair of the County Human Relations Commission, but he also is chair of the Breakfast Committee. And he forwarded to Commissioner Hatch today the request for the contact information that needs to be provided. So any questions with regard to that? Okay. We have one final item on the agenda, and that is the reports of the Human Relations Commission of Anne Arundel County and or the Maryland Commission on Civil Rights. And we have representatives from both of those groups with us this evening. So I would like to ask Lakeisha, first of all, if there's any additional reports that you'd like to bring to the commission tonight from the county commission, and then I'll turn to Najeri, who is representing the Maryland Commission on Civil Rights. So Lakeisha first.
Okay, so I just want to kind of give an update. October 20th, which is the day after Unity Day, the Anne Arundel Human Relations Commission partnered up with the Chesapeake High School and Northeast High School to host a Unity Day, a Unity tree lighting ceremony. This was to just bring the high schools together, because there have been a number of incidents where people just didn't feel included, or just not emphasizing the word unity. So Anne Arundel Human Relations Commission partnered up with Dr. Gillians, who was kind of the high school liaison, as well as the Downs Park superintendent, to host this event. It was a one-day event at the Downs Park. And from what I hear, because I wasn't time, I believe it started at 4. It was a great event. The high schools came out, they did some performances, we had some keynote speakers, and they're thinking about hosting something similar to this every year. It may be even possibly changing the time frame because of how the park closed at dusk, so they couldn't stay after a certain point. But just to get more people involved and have more of a extended time, possibly doing it in the summertime. So if anyone from the Annapolis Human Relations Commission, if you're interested, maybe next time you can also be a part of the planning and things of that nature. It's called our Unity Day ceremony. Right. Okay. And so that's why I just kind of wanted to present to the group. Any questions?
Great. Sign me up.
Sounds like an excellent event, Lakeisha. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yes, it was a very nice event.
Yeah. Okay, Najeri, you have something you'd like to report to us from the Maryland Commission on Civil Rights?
Hey everyone, nothing specific, just not past our programming. We tend to have targeted programming around this time. So we have an event, a training coming up December 7th. I can share the information with you all via email. If you follow our emails, you may have gotten it already, but it will be taking place December 7th from 12 to 2. It's called Disability Reasonable Accommodations in the Law. So I don't mind sharing it with you all. Please share it with others. They're really great trainings just to inform people on, their rights and things that they need to know pertinent to those topic areas.
Yes, I was thrilled to participate in the Maryland Commission on Civil Rights recent webinar that they did on religious discrimination that was conducted by your General Counsel, Glendora
Yes.
Hughes.
Thank you.
Excellent presentation. Very good. Very good.
Thank you for attending. We really appreciate it.
And if you would share that information that you just described with Judge Barber, I'm certain that she'll look it over and share it with me and perhaps with some other commissioners. I think she'd be a very good contact for it, because this is exactly what she does in terms of her work.
Thank you. Yes, I'll send it to you, Judge Barber.
All right. Are there any other business items to be brought to the commission this evening? If not,
Mike, I would have a brief item.
Sure.
There was a pretty extraordinary program about the Annapolis port markers. It's a UNESCO initiative. It's about the history of slavery, and Annapolis unfortunately has a pretty prominent place in that history of slavery. And it was held at Asbury United, not surprisingly, and really was an incredible production. Janice Hayes Williams is pretty amazing at that. But it was a really, if we don't speak about the history and don't learn from the history, it doesn't get better. I mean, we've got to be honest and absolutely, we got to teach our kids about it. It's obviously one of the low marks of our history, but we got to acknowledge it and learn about it and teach our kids about it. And I thought it was really an excellent program. Judge Barber, I bet you were there. Were you there as well? I can't remember, but it was a full house. They had really a great program.
It was a full house. I did see a lot of the excerpts, and I believe there was a presentation by William Rao, Vincent Leggett, and Yeah, very,
Thornell Jones,
yes.
yeah, Carlisa, yeah, but it was pretty amazing. And there will be markers down at City Dock about this by the county executive and the mayor. Bronze plaques, but I'm not sure the bronze plaques have been produced yet. So when they are produced, there were essentially photographs of what it will look like, but the markers themselves will be noticeable and places of major public attention at City Dock.
I saw it on Facebook. Very good. Very good. Thank you.
Okay, any other items to be brought before the commission this evening? If not, I would just like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and look forward to seeing you at our next meeting. So as things go, we're concluded with our business this evening and would ask that the meeting be adjourned by common consent. Hearing no objection, the meeting is adjourned.